Today is the day in the life of this very old guitar. Let's see what's in store. Good morning. It's Friday and I'm home today. I'm off work, so I got a chance to do something I've been meaning to do for about a year now. About a year ago I did a video regarding my Westminster guitar versus my Fender guitar. This Westminster I bought back when I was about 13, 14 years old. I was coming into high school and I was going to start playing with the school jazz band, so I definitely needed something a little better than the guitar I had. So my parents were kind enough to help me get this baby for $125 at the Long McQuaid on Wilson Avenue in Dufferin, which is not there anymore. And this was my guitar during my teen years. This is the one I used. This is the one that was pretty much all I had. And it's what I used for jamming with my friends and that sort of thing. And of course, like I said, playing at school, et cetera, et cetera. Until I got about 18 years old when I got into college and stuff, and I was able to get myself a more upgraded guitar. I'll get to that in another video. However, today we're going to talk about Westminster and what I'm going to be doing to it. I said about a year ago that I was thinking about upgrading it, changing the tuners and the pickups and stuff, and that's exactly what I'm going to do today. Now, I am not a guitar tech by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know much about it. So this is going to be kind of a learning experience for me, you know. I'm good enough to understand how to remove hardware and install hardware and that sort of thing. I should be able to do that without much problem. I'm not really good at wood and truss rod adjustments and things like that. That I'll leave to my real guitar tech, Grace, who is a wonderful guitar tech out of Guelph. I'll leave a link in the description below here to her website. If you're in the Guelph area, you need a guitar tech, Grace is your girl. Okay, so anyhow, so why do the upgrade? What's the problem with the guitar as it is? Well, it's kind of aged. Mind you, like the tuners are still working pretty good, but they're mechanically it's stiff. I mean, it's been sitting around, it hasn't been played in years and stuff, not taken care of properly. And it wasn't a very expensive guitar, as I said. However, I find that these days these seems to be going for a fair bit of money, like $300-400 on reverb and stuff like that. So they're somewhat, I'm not going to say revered, I'm going to say appreciated for what they were, and they're not really all that bad. And the pickups on it, I think they're just basic ceramics. I read somewhere where they said it might be Alnicos, but I don't really think that might be the case. But as you can see, I got a grounding problem here. Yeah, bad ground on the connector. So anyway, I'm going to be removing it all and replacing it with all new parts that I bought on Amazon. I researched stuff that wasn't expensive, but had consistently good reviews and consistent reviews and what the materials were. So I'm going to be changing this whole plate with all the electrics in it. I'm going to be changing the bridge, this connector obviously, and all the tuners. Basically, I'm stripping it down to just the wood, and everything else is coming off, and I'm going to attempt to replace it all. But before I do that, I'm going to do a little before and after. So this is the guitar before, and then we'll listen to it afterwards as well. Now, unfortunately, the comparison is going to be a little unfair because the pickups that I got for it are actually going to be humbucking pickups. They're double coil, they're not going to be single coil ones. So I'll try to adjust the tone a little bit to kind of sound a little more matchy in terms of output, because there'll be a hotter output with the humbucking pickups. That was the one issue I had with my video from before about the Westminster versus the Fender, is because the Fender had humbuckings as well, and it's going to be a far more saturated tone. So I should have balanced it out a little better when I did that video. Wasn't thinking. But I'll let you hear what it sounds like now, and then we'll listen to it after, at the end of the video. What the change will be. So we're in my little workshop here and on my messy bench, and we're going to start the process of taking off all the hardware and electrics on this old baby and put in some new materials. Now, this is the stuff that's been sitting around. I bought this stuff like a year ago almost, and I got it all on Amazon. And I really, wasn't too sure. I did some research on the products to see if they were decent, and everything looked pretty good. So, not expensive, obviously, all Chinese-made stuff. But, it's just what I need. I don't want to spend too much money because I'm not overly confident on my craftsmanship yet and how to do this stuff. So I want to practice on this thing, and hopefully I'll get lucky and end up with a pretty cool guitar with just a little bit of work. All right, so let's have a look at the parts that I'm going to be installing. This is obviously a pick guard that has all the parts already pre-assembled. So I got the switch, you've got the controls, you've got the pickups, all wired and ready to go. You just got to plug and play, basically. And hopefully this thing fits like a glove. It'll be kind of cool if it does. That's kind of the point. Nice thing with the pickups is these are actually humbuckers. They're not single coils. So this is going to be close in relation to sound of my real Fender. And that way, if I use this guitar back and forth with the Fender on the same rig, it will react the same way. I'm not going to be too worried about the patches sounding different because of one guitar's humbuckers and one has single coil. So this is one of the reasons why I went this route. And of course, like I said, the reviews on this was actually pretty good. And they were also noiseless, apparently. So, okay, let's see how it turns out. Got some locking tuners here I'm going to be putting in. As you can see, I'm going with a black sort of trim look as well, which is great. And I got a new bridge going in as well, also black. And of course, a little boat-shaped connector adapter there. A couple of trees, I believe I got lying around here somewhere for the string trees up here. So let's see what happens. Okay, so first things first is obviously we're going to take the strings off. So. Okay, so I ran into a little snag, nothing too major, but basically what's going on here is that the machine heads, tuners, they're a little too big for the hole. So what I'm going to have to do now is I'm going to have to drill these holes out a bit. Not much. It's really, it's not a huge hole difference, but it's enough. So I'm going to have to do a little drilling, which I'm not big on doing, but hey, it is what it is, right? Otherwise, these things really feel pretty good. These machine heads actually, this is where I kind of spent the most money, quite frankly, is making sure I got something that was half decent. So hopefully that works out pretty good. Okay, so I drilled out the holes. Unfortunately, I took a chunk of wood here, another chunk here, and even though these things have these washers to kind of cover up the edges, it ain't covering up that. But it is what it is, because, I'm not a pro at this stuff. I'm learning. I gotta I'm not worried about stuff like that and other nicks I have in the guitar body because, you know, it's a 40-plus-year-old guitar. It's it wasn't an expensive guitar. It wasn't like it was meant to be something that's to be preciously saved. And, you know, these kind of nicks, and that just shows that the guitar has been played. It has been used. It has been enjoyed. And I kind of embrace those little imperfections and stuff. If you're a fan of Jaco Pastorius, one of the best bass players that ever lived, oh my God, the body of his guitar was a complete wreck. You know, but it was his. It was unique to him, and it showed his experience in that all those paint chips and notches and everything he went through. So this sort of thing will just now be part of the guitar's unique personality. So I don't mind that. Anyway, I've never put this sort of thing before. I've never changed machine heads and tuners before. Again, this is all a learning experience for me. But from what I can see, it goes through here like that. There's a screw that goes up, and this just screws down on it in place, and it'll hold unless I tighten it up. So there we have it. So I made a boo-boo with this bridge, and I shouldn't have drilled those holes. I got to move it back here. I didn't think of that in order for the pickguard to be placed in correctly. So I'm going to go back to the original holes as much as possible. It's a little bit different, so they don't line up quite exactly the same, but bringing the bridge is much further back so that the pickguard can sit in correctamundo. Probably should just put the pickguard in and put the bridge on after. Maybe like do something like that. All right, let's see what happens. Alright, well, looks like it's done. And what do you think? I love the black accents, the black hardware is great. The black fingerboard, knobs, the whole bit, bridge, whammy. I love the look. I think it's just so cool. It's got a really retro yet kind of fresh look to it. It's cool. Alright, and I plugged it into the amp to make sure the grounding is working fine. Everything seems okay so far. We're going to know for sure once I got strings on her, which I'm going to do now. So I'm going to put some strings on it. However, I'm going to put temporary strings on it because I may still want to do some. I wasn't too happy with how the tuners got installed. I don't think the holes were quite right. So I may go back to the tuners again. I'm going to see how it is. for a couple of months, if it's stable or not, to see if it's working, basically, right? And then maybe come back to it another time. In the meantime, I'm going to put some strings. Where do I put my strings? Yeah, I got some Dean Markley's here lying around. I got some strings kicking about that I bought a long time ago that I don't use because I've kind of used 9s across the board nowadays. And I've got 11s here, and I've even got some 12s upstairs. Like, what am I got 12s for? But anyway, I'm just going to use the 11s since I don't really want them as permanent strings. I'm going to put them on here and see how the thing works. So let's do that. All right, we got some strings on her. It definitely needs some setup work over here. On the saddles here, they're all over the map. They need to be adjusted in height. So I'm going to do all that. G string is really loud because it's really low compared to everything else. So yeah, let's start getting into some fine tuning. Well, it's been quite a day. I learned so much today it isn't funny. I did make some mistakes during the installation, but you know what? I'm really happy with how it turned out. I mean, check it out. It looks fantastic. I love the black hardware. We got the black locking tuners on her here. And we got, of course, the black pick guard, the black pickups, the knobs and everything, even the black connector here for the cable. And the bridge, of course, and the whammy. It looks so sexy. I love it. I'm in love again with an old guitar from way back in the day. It's amazing, and it just sounds great, and it plays really nice. It stays in tune. It's got nice intonation. I'm going to show you it all right now. But wow, it's weird. It's like I'm in love with something from way back that I had all along over again. It's like fresh. Matter of fact, I don't often name my guitars. I've named a handful of them. But I'm going to name this one after all these years. I'm naming it Old Flame. I think it's perfect. So let's hear it. Let's listen to it. Little blues, perhaps? A little Ranch guitar. pedal tones. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Something that's been sitting in my closet for years, thinking it's a piece of junk, you know. I kept it for sentimental reasons, obviously. This guitar's been with me since I was 13, 14 years old. And I didn't think much of it all this time. But then, you know, last year when I picked it up again, I started going, there might be something here. I still like this guitar. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, the bones are good, you know. So all I needed was the new tuners, the new pickups, and the pickguard, the cover and bridge, all this stuff. I spent, what, maybe $120 or so at Amazon. And it sounds great. It plays great. It's a nice intonation. This is like, oh my God, it's a brand new guitar that's like well built. I'm beyond words. It's way past my expectations. I really do not know what to expect, quite frankly. So I'm thrilled. I'm just ecstatic that this thing is now can be one of my major guitars again. I'm going to be using this in recordings. So I'm going to be using this whenever I can. I love it. It's going to just sit there and easily grabbed and used for lots of stuff because it's perfect. It's wonderful. So thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. Tells you when we got new videos coming up, and I will talk to you later.